हरि ओम। हरि ओम। ओ ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गायै नमः। ओम श्री राम रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं भवानी शङ्करो वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणो याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धाः स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगता अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 ओम नमः शिवाय नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। Bhagwan tells Arjuna that I have these two prakritis, the para prakriti made up of 8 parts and the para prakriti, and through this prakritis alone Bhagwan appears like the world and appears like all the jivas. Bhagwan says that all the expressions you see, whether they are sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, they are all from me. Bhagwan is the ultimate cause of everything. But one should be able to see beyond this effect to recognize that Paramatma. So Bhagwan says that many jivas, they are deluded by the 3 gunas and don't recognize me. So this Trigunatmika Maya, Bhagwan says, Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mameva Ye Prapadyante Mayam Etam Tarantite. This is my Maya. It is Daivi, divine. Gunamayi has got 3 gunas, Sattva gun, Rajogun and Tamogun. Duratyaya, but very difficult to cross, very difficult to transcend. But Bhagwan says, Mameva ye prapadyante mayam eta tarantite. Those who surrender to me, they are able to cross over this. They alone can cross over this Maya. So if it is so simple that we just have to surrender to Ishvara to become free of this Maya, to become free of this samsara, then why everyone doesn't surrender to Ishvara? Bhagwan says that those who have these negative qualities, they don't surrender to me. So he mentions some 5 negative qualities. Those who have these, they don't surrender. So let us chant verse number 15. Namam dushkritino mudhaha prapadyante naradhamaha mayaya parhatadnyanaha asuram bhavamashhritaha. Bhagwan says, Namam prapadyante. They don't surrender to me. Surrendering is totally becoming one with Ishvara, understanding our oneness with Ishvara, understanding that I and Ishvara are one, and seeing that same Ishvara in the whole world. So that Sarvatma Bhav, Sarvatma Bhutam Sarvatmana Ye Prapadyante. So to recognize Ishvara as our own self, that is what is called Sharanagati. Sharanagati is finally, after following the path of Karma Yoga, Chitta Shuddhi, Jnana Prapti, Karma Sannyas, Dhyana, then this Sharanagati happens. But those who have these negative qualities, they cannot surrender, they don't surrender. Who are they? Dushkrutinaha. Those who do evil actions, evil doers, dushta karma. Dushta karma is harming others, being violent towards other beings. That is the basic of dushta karma. Parapida. See, this whole world is expression of Ishvara only. So Ishvara is present in everything and in everyone. And as we have seen in the 6th chapter also, that just like the yogi who sees everything compared to his own self, Atmaupamena sarvatra samam pashyati Arjuna sukham va yadi va dukkham sayogi paramo mataha. The yogi sees all the beings as he sees his own self. Just like Sukha is dear to me, Sukha is dear to everyone. Just as I don't want sorrow, no beings want sorrow. So when we do some dushta karma, it hurts other beings. It gives them sorrow. It gives them pain. But not recognizing this or not caring for this, those who continue with their negative actions, activities, they will not be able to surrender to Ishvara. It is impossible. One who cannot see beyond himself or herself, cannot see the presence of Ishvara in this world, will not be able to surrender. So, namam dushkrutinaha prapadyante. And why they are so dushkrutihi, why they behave so badly, why they hurt other beings. In this Kali Yuga also we see people behaving in such a way that they hurt not only human beings, but we torture and exploit other creatures also. So many other creatures, they are troubled directly or indirectly by human beings. The birds, the animals, all our so-called progress is harming their livelihood. So this is dushta karma. And this dushta karma happens when we are totally deluded. Mudha. Mudha means those who are totally foolish, ignorant, foolish, deluded. Doesn't recognize, doesn't recognize the presence of Ishvara. Doesn't recognize the presence of other beings also, doesn't identify with them, doesn't feel their pain and their trouble. They are the mood, highly deluded and confused. They also cannot surrender to Ishvara. Then Naradhamaha. This itself actually leads to behavior which is below the dignity of a human being. Adhamaha Naraha means lowest among human beings, means not showing any expression of being human. Human beings are those who show humane qualities of daya, kshama, maitri, karuna, kripa. All these are considered as humane qualities. These are not expressed by these people. They are naradhamaha. They also cannot surrender to Ishvara. Then mayaya aparhitat jnanaha. Those whose knowledge, even when they have acquired some knowledge through satsang or through other means, but this knowledge gets overpowered by the maya, by the expression of maya, by this sattva gun, rajogun, tamogun. They get so overpowered that because of that all their knowledge just disappears. They might have understood lot of things, but they come under the sway of Maya. Like we have the famous example of Ravan. Ravan was a very intelligent, scholarly person. He had understanding of the Vedas and so many Shastras also. He was a great Pandit. But all his knowledge was overpowered by the expression of these gunas like anger, jealousy, greed, pride. All this came in the way of his knowledge. So all his knowledge got as though taken away, was kidnapped, was taken away. So Mayaya aparatat jnanaha, whose knowledge is abducted by Maya. Asuram bhavam ashritaha, and those who depend, they surrender to Asuri bhav. Asuri is again the most tamasic expression of violence, of destruction, of extreme anger, extreme hatred. These are totally asuric sampatti, which Bhagwan will talk about later in the later chapters. So this asuri bhava, they like it. They surrender to such bhava. What can be resolved, what issues can be resolved through friendship, what issues can be resolved through proper discussion, what can be resolved through sama, means through negotiation. Such people, they resort to asuri thing only, to violence, to riots, through expressing their anger and their hatred. So these are the asuri people depending on asuri sampatti. So when we have these negativities in us, we won't be able to surrender to Ishvara. It will be very difficult to even appreciate and acknowledge the presence of Ishvara. And even if we understand the presence of Ishvara, we will not be able to surrender. Just like some people, they are unable to sleep. They are so restless and full of anxiety, worries, or some tension or something is there, and just they are unable to sleep. So then they take some pill and all and go to sleep. But here you can't take a pill and surrender to Ishvara. They are just unable to surrender. Their ego, their dushta karma, their foolishness, their all this lack of proper understanding comes in the way, and they are unable to surrender to that Ishvara. So namam dushkritino mudhaha. So 5 negativities. Dushkritinaha, mudhaha, naradhamaha, mayaya apartatjnanaha, and asuram bhavam ashritaha. Such people, they don't. These qualities might be in one person, or one may have 1 or 2 of these qualities. Even if one has got only one quality of this negative quality, will not be able to surrender. Then who surrenders? What? We should have absence of all this. We should remove all these negativities. Then we will be able to surrender. So who surrenders to Ishvara? Who are the devotees of Ishvara? Who surrenders to him and become free of this samsara? That Bhagwan now tells in the next verse. Very beautiful and famous verse. So Bhagwan says, Chaturvidha bhajante mam Jana Sukrutinarjuna Arto Jidnyasuraartharthi Jnani cha Bharatarshava. Bhagavan says that these four types of devotees are there who surrender to me. I have these four types of devotees who worship me and ultimately surrender to me. Chaturvidha bhajante mam janaha. Four ways they worship me. Who? Here Arjuna, he says Sukrutinaha. All these four types are Sukruti. See, this is very important. First, in the previous verse, we have seen that person who is Dushkruti, doing evil actions. These evil actions themselves are expressed as foolishness, as being naradhama and maya aparatadnyanaha and asuram bhavam ashritaha. All these are expressions of this dushta karma only. Here Bhagavan is telling about totally an opposite person, different person, who is Sukruti. Sukruti means doer of good actions. And such doer of good actions alone, they are able to surrender to Ishvara. They are able to love Ishvara. So Bhagavan says there are this Sukruti who worship me in four different ways. Four types of ways they worship me. How? Bhagavan says Artaha. These four types of devotees are Artaha, those who have some sorrow and pain and suffering, and out of that suffering and sorrow, they, in order to become free of that suffering, they worship me and surrender to me. Then there are those who are Jidnyasu. There are those who have this intense desire to know about God. They have intense desire to know that Ishvara, want to understand Ishvara. Then there are those who are Artharthi. Artharthi means they want something, some gain in this world or in the other world. So in order to gain that, acquire that, they worship Ishvara and surrender to Ishvara. Then there are those who are Jnani. Jnani means they have gone through this sadhana. They have approached the teacher, learned the Shastras, and have finally understood the nature of Ishvara. They have gained that knowledge of Ishvara. And having gained that knowledge of that Ishvara, of that Brahma, having gained that knowledge, they surrender to that Ishvara. So Artha, Jidnyasu, Artharthi and Jnani cha Bharatarshava. These are the four different devotees of Ishvara. Now let us do some thinking. First of all, we should understand what exactly is the meaning of this bhakti, devotion. Here Bhagavan is talking about the four types of devotees who are devoted to him and they surrender to him. So what exactly is this devotion? For that we have to understand a few things. One is that we can be devotees of Ishvara only if we have the faith in his existence. Those who believe in the existence of Ishvara alone can be devoted to Ishvara. That is very logical. Those who have this astha, this faith, those who are astik, those who have faith that Ishvara is there, they alone will be able to love that Ishvara and finally surrender to that Ishvara. If one doesn't have faith in Ishvaras, then there will not be any devotion for Ishvara naturally. You can't be devoted to someone whom you don't believe to be existing. Now when we talk about Ishvara, one is that supreme reality called Brahma. Then that Brahma, along with his that power called Maya, and as the cause of this world, as the master of this world, is called Ishvara. That Ishvara is Nirguna Nirakar. He is always Nirgun and Nirakar. But when he has to create this world, then with his own power of Maya, he creates this world. So we have seen the first manifestation is Hiranyagarbha, and then he alone manifests as Vaishvanara. So Brahma, Ishvara, Hiranyagarbha, Vaishvanara. Please pay attention. So Brahma is totally unrelated to this world, nothing. That Nirgun, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. But that same Brahma is indicated as the cause of this world, Janmadhyasya Yataha, and as the cause of this world, as the master of this world, is called Ishvara. That Ishvara is Nirgun Nirakar. But when he expresses as Hiranyagarbha and as Vaishvanara, then that Hiranyagarbha and Vaishvanara are called Sagun Ishvara. They are also called Sagun Ishvara, because this Hiranyagarbha has got all the powers of Ishvara. Though Hiranyagarbha is a Jiva, but he has got all the powers of Ishvara, and he is enlightened. He knows his own identity as that Brahma. He is an enlightened being with all the powers of Ishvara. Means this Bhagwan's that Apara Prakriti is wielded by this Hiranyagarbha. We have seen that Pancha Tanmatras, then the Samashti Mana, Samashti Buddhi, and Samashti Ahankar. So one who is holding this Samashti Mana, Buddhi, Ahankar and the Pancha Tanmatras is that Hiranyagarbha. So that Hiranyagarbha is also called Saguna Ishvara, because he is expressing with all qualities. He is expressing with all gunas. The trigunas of Maya are expressed in Hiranyagarbha. So Hiranyagarbha is also called Saguna Ishvara. Even Vaishvanara is called Saguna Ishvara. So Hiranyagarbha, when he makes the 5 elements gross, creates the body of Vaishvanara. Vaishvanara is born. So Vaishvanara also has got all the powers of that Supreme Ishvara. So he is also the Sagun Ishvara, having all gunas. Okay. Then this Vaishvanara gives birth to all the devatas and all the other beings, including the human beings. Okay. Now, a person may have only belief in the devatas. A person may not be able to comprehend or may not have heard or may not know about Vaishvanara, Hiranyagarbha, Ishvara, Brahma, but only a believer of the devatas. Then there are those who don't even believe in devatas, but they believe in other beings. So there are a range of people. Those who believe in the existence of other beings, whatever we see. So they believe in human beings, animal, bird, plants. But they don't believe in the existence of devatas. They don't believe that there is Indra, there are those Adityas, there are those Rudras, there are those Vasus. They don't believe in all this. They don't believe that this Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jala, Prithvi are devatas. They look at it only as matter. They don't believe in Sthana Devata, Kula Devata, Grama Devata. They don't believe in all those things. So those who don't believe in the devatas, naturally they will not worship those devatas. Or even if they worship because of some force or because their family members tell them, Hare Namaskar Karo, they might be just doing it outwardly, but they don't believe and they don't worship. Then there are those who not only believe in the devatas, but they believe in Vaishvanara. Because just as there are devatas, but all those devatas are held together by one master. One powerful master is there, who is the boss of all the devatas and who is the boss of all the other beings. That is Vaishvanara. The Sagun Sakar Ishvara. Sagun Sakar. Sagun Sakar means having gunas and having akar also. One can see him in the form of this world. So those who believe in Vaishvanara, the Sagun Sakar Ishvara, they will worship that Vaishvanara, the Prajapati, the Vaishvanara. Then those who have more subtle knowledge, they accept Hiranyagarbha, they understand Hiranyagarbha, who is Sagun Nirakar. Sagun means he has got the gunas, but he doesn't have any akar, he is subtle. Doesn't have any form. So they believe in this Sagun Nirakar Ishvara, that Hiranyagarbha is also called Ishvara, Saguna Ishvara. So those who believe in that Hiranyagarbha will worship Hiranyagarbha. They will do Sagun Upasana. They will worship him in the form of Brahma or Vishnu or Shiva. So worshippers of Sagun Nirakar. Then there are those who understand Ishvara as Nirguna Nirakar. I am using all this term because they will then come in the later chapters also. Even in the 12th chapter, Bhagavan will talk about them. So Ishvara is Nirguna Nirakar. Nirgun, beyond all gunas. Nirakar, beyond all akar. So one who believes in Ishvara, Nirgun Nirakar, will worship that Nirgun Nirakar. In the 12th chapter again, since I mentioned, Arjuna then asked Bhagwan that which worship is better, worship of Sagun Sakar and Sagun Nirakar, or that Nirgun Nirakar. Which is better? Bhagwan says both are better only. But you should find out which is possible for you, which is easy for you, that you can do it. So, our understanding of the existence of that Ishvara, our deep faith in Ishvara, that is the first step in order to develop that love for Ishvara. We cannot just love someone whom we don't believe is existing. And we cannot love someone whom we have doubt about his existence. There are some people who directly they don't say that they don't believe, but they don't say that they believe also. They say, no, I am not sure whether Ishvara is there. Even while they are doing namaskar or chanting their name and all, they keep on doubting. Pata nahi Bhagwan hai ya nahi hai. I don't know whether he is listening to me. I don't know whether he is there. I don't know what is it. So people have doubt. So those who have doubt about Bhagwan's existence, and those who have confusion about Bhagwan's nature, they will not have proper devotion. In Bhagavad, the 9 steps of devotions are mentioned. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. So the first step itself is called Shravanam. If you want to worship Ishvara, if you want to develop love for Ishvara, then you should know about him. Otherwise you will be just worshipping some imaginary concept in your head and thinking that you are worshipping Ishvara. You will just have some imaginary ideas in your head. And you will think that you are worshipping Ishvara. Just as suppose a person says that I have bhakti towards my nation. I am a great devotee of my nation. I am very patriotic. I love my country, my Bharat. मैं भारत का प्रेमी हूँ, भक्त हूँ. And he is staying in some small island in India. Let us say Andaman Island. and he says, I am the lover of Bharat. So very nice. Then you ask him, what is Bharat? He says, this is Bharat, this island is Bharat. बस इतना ही भारत है और इसी से मैं प्यार करता हूँ. Then we will say no doubt he loves, but he is loving only that little island and thinking that he is loving India. Same thing happens actually. Some people, they love their own state, they love their own little separate language, they love their own little their culture, and they may think that, oh, we love the whole nation. Similarly, one may say that I love Ishvara. Okay, where is your Ishvara? No, he is in that temple, He is that Murti. I love that. I love that Ishvara. But what about other places? No, he is not there. He is only in that place. So if we have this limited idea, understanding of Ishvara, then our love, our bhakti will not be proper. So first of all, through Shravanam, we should understand the glory, the Mahatmya of Ishvara. Then only we will be able to express our love. Therefore, the belief before even experiencing that supreme reality, we should believe in its existence. In the Upanishad also it is said that those who think Brahma is existing, they alone will be able to attain that Brahma. Those who think Brahma is non-existent, they will not be able to attain Brahma. So we should be able to understand the existence and accept the existence of Ishvara properly. Then only our worship will be proper. And therefore, let us again go back to what Bhagavan had taught us about Karma Yoga. And before that, even the path of Dharma. The path of Dharma is can be followed by those people who understand themselves as a Jiva. Just as our understanding of Ishvara is different, our understanding of ourselves are also different. That also we had seen before. But again, to revise, there are those who understand themselves as the body, gross body or the subtle body. They understand themselves as the body. But there are those who understand themselves as Chaitanya, that consciousness which is indestructible, but associated with the Sukshma Sharir. So that supreme reality associated with the, identified with the Sukshma Sharir is called Jiva. And the same Chaitanya associated with the Sukshma Sharir and Sthula Sharir is that Atma. So if one considers oneself as Deha, that person will not believe in Devatas, that person will not believe in Ishvara, Sagun or Nirgun. So there is no question of such a person having bhakti. But those who understand themselves as Jiva, they accept the existence of other Jivas, and if they understand the existence of Devatas, then they will worship those Devatas. They will do different types of karma. They will get involved in karma kanda also and involve themselves in worshipping these Devatas. through various different types of rituals. So this is at least better than the previous people, those who did not believe in the Devatas. So here there are those who believe in the existence of Devatas and they worship them through various different types of rituals. Different Devatas, they like different types of rituals, they like different types of offerings, different types of mantras should be chanted in their honor. So they worship those Devatas. But then when we understand these Devatas are also lower than their boss, their master is that Vaishvanara. Vaishvanara is the boss, the master, the lord of all the Devatas. He is the ultimate. So there are those who will worship that Vaishvanara. Then this Vaishvanara is also controlled by Hiranyagarbha. Then there are those who will worship Hiranyagarbha, the Sagun Ishvara. But that Sagun has also come from that Nirgun Nirakar. So there are those who will worship the Nirgun Nirakar. So depending on our understanding of ourselves and depending on our understanding of Ishvara or the Devatas or Saguna and Nirgun Ishvara will be our worship. Now, when Bhagwan talked to Arjuna about Karma Yoga, let us go back to Karma Yoga now. In Karma Yoga, I had told you that there are these 5 buddhis are there. What are those 5 buddhis? Kartavya buddhi, Ishvara arpana buddhi, Asanga buddhi, then Samatva buddhi and Prasada buddhi. In this 5, the most important, no doubt all of them are important, but among them very important is Ishvara arpana buddhi. Means dedicating all our actions to Ishvara. If we don't have the belief in Ishvara, if we don't have faith in Ishvara, we will not be able to dedicate our actions to Ishvara. See, even if we don't have understanding or faith in Nirgun Nirakar, we should have faith in the Sagun Nirakar or at least Sagun Sakar. Then we will be able to dedicate our actions to that Ishvara, Sagun Sakar Ishvara. If that becomes difficult, then they start dedicating their actions to the Devatas. If that is also difficult, then they start dedicating their actions to other people around, their family members or friends or relatives. If that is also difficult, then they start dedicating their actions to themselves. So they have all the selfish actions happening. Okay? So this you keep in mind. Later on, again we will revise it. So we have this different understanding about ourselves and we have different understanding of Ishvara. The combination and permutation of this understanding gives rise to different expression in our spiritual path. Proper belief or no belief, or worshipping the Devatas or worshipping Ishvara. Later on in this chapter itself, Bhagwan will tell, if you worship those Devatas, you will get limited result. But if you worship me, you will gain that infinity. So here in this verse, Bhagwan talked about the devotees. Now here we can understand, we can take it as those who have understood that Nirgun Nirakar Ishvara, or those who have understood the Sagun Nirakar or Sagun Sakar. All of them, Bhagwan considers them as his devotees only. So he gives value to all this. The main thing common in all the devotees is they should be Sukruti. Sukruti means doer of good actions. You cannot do evil actions and say that I am Bhagwan's devotee. This is the first condition. And that itself separates them from the previous shloka where Bhagwan talked about Dushkruti. So they are Dushkruti, but all these devotees are Sukruti, doer of good action. When we can do good action, when we can accept and understand the existence of Ishvara, then we will know that Ishvara is present everywhere. If I am devoted to Ishvara, then I am devoted to everyone and everything. Even if I am devoted to Sagun Nirakar Ishvara, I will be devoted to everyone. Even if I am devoted to Sagun Sakar, that is Vaishvanara, I will be devoted to everyone. So there are those who consider themselves as different from Vaishvanara, different from Hiranyagarbha, doesn't matter. They are also devotees. They are the Dvaitis, but they are also devotees, and Bhagwan accepts them. He says that yes, they are also my devotees. There is nothing wrong in them. So they consider themselves as different, that I am different, that Sagun Ishvara is different, but I am dedicating all my life, my actions to him. It's very good. So these people who have faith in Nirgun Ishvara, Sagun Sakar, Sagun Nirakar Ishvara, in the Devatas, in the Sagun Sakar, Sagun Nirakar and Nirgun Nirakar Ishvara, those devotees are classified here into 4 groups. One is Artha. Artha means one who is experiencing great misery and sorrow and suffering. That way everyone experiences sometime or other. So deep sense of sorrow, distress, suffering, pain, due to whatever conditions in the family, in the society, or personally. One experiences deep sense of sorrow and pain, but also has got this deep faith in the existence of God, and also has this deep faith and understanding that God alone is the most powerful and the most compassionate and the most knowledgeable, and He alone can do something about all this. So with that deep faith and conviction, and propelled by his own or her own sorrow, approaches that Ishvara with love. Approaches means pray to that Ishvara, chant his name, sincerely, deeply pray to Ishvara that please, oh Ishvara, please remove all this sorrow from my life, remove all this pain from my life, please manifest, come in my life and remove this sorrow. So that sincere पुकार, भगवान को पुकारते हैं deeply from the very core of their being. This example of even Draupadi is given. So Draupadi in that Hastinapur, all these Pandavas and Draupadi were there. And these Pandavas, they started playing that dice, Yudhishthira. One by one, he started losing everything. He put it on stake. And finally he put even Draupadi on stake, and he lost. And that Duryodhana ordered Dushasana to bring that Draupadi in the darbar. So Dushasana brought that Draupadi, holding her, pulling her by her hairs in the darbar, where all these great people were there: Bhishma Pitamaha, Dronacharya, and the Dhritarashtra, and these Pandavas. All of them were there, and this Duryodhana, Dushasana. And there Duryodhana told that Dushasana ki remove, disrobe her. Draupadi called for help from everyone who is present: Dhritarashtra, Bhishma Pitamaha, Dronacharya, her own husbands, but nobody came to help her. Then as a last resort, with that so much of sorrow and pain in her heart, totally helpless, in the midst of all these people who she thought will protect her and loved her, she called in the deep distress, Bhagwan, कि हो भगवान, please come and save me. Release me from this sorrow and pain and this deep insult which is happening to me. So that artata, that is called artha. With that artata she called Ishvara, because she had this faith in Krishna as Sakshat Bhagwan, Ishvara, with all power. She called, and Ishvara manifested himself as Vastra, as the dress. Ishvara can take any form, but here Draupadi wanted her to be protected, not to be disrobed there in this darbar. So Bhagwan himself became like a dress and protected her. Bhagwan considered Draupadi as his devotee, not only devotee, as his friend. So Artha, with that Artata, when we call Bhagwan, when we take his name, when we chant his name, when we sing his bhajans, when we do puja, when we meditate, when we contemplate, when we work, serve him with that artata, that I want Bhagwan. When one doesn't see anyone else as alternative, These bhaktas don't consider that, other people are there or other devotees are, devtas are there and all, they will help. No. They rely on Ishvara only. That Ishvara, you alone help me. You can come in any form, that doesn't matter. But you alone will be able to protect me, help me. Nobody else. So that is that Artha Bhakta. Bhagwan says this Artha Bhakta is also my Bhakta only. Then he talks about Jidnyasu Artharthi Jnani, that we will see in our class tomorrow. So you contemplate on this, think about it, and think about the various understanding we have about ourselves and the various understanding we have about Ishvara. Right understanding also are at different levels. And depending on our understanding only, we express in our sadhana, whether it is karma yoga or bhakti, it's expression of our understanding and our faith. Okay? So more about this we will see in our class tomorrow. So till then, you take care. Be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy. And we will meet again tomorrow. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Jaya Jaya Ram. Jaya Jaya Ram. Boliye Siyava Ramachandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.